What is motivation? John needs motivation to do swimming, and his motivation is to improve and stay fit to avoid CHD, which runs in his family. Grill in 1986 said that motivation is a drive to fulfill a need. And Gill also said in 1968 that motivation drives us to do things or energizes our behavior and makes us do particular things like directing our behavior. And Sage also backed this up in 1977 by saying it is the direction and intensity of one's effort. Types of motivation. There are two types of motivation. These are intensity of behavior and degree of emotional energy. Intensity of behavior is how much emotional energy someone feels in different moments. This decides and causes them to act in a certain way. John received a lot of emotional energy at the start when he is proud of his 25 metre and 50 metre records in swimming. Therefore, his behaviour is that he wants to swim and he is very happy. This also has an effect on the direction of his behaviour, which is the course of action or response that the person chooses because of their emotional drive or what's making them want to do well. And for John, he is driven by the proudness of doing well and improving at swimming and having fun with his family, and he responds by trying harder and wanting to improve. But when John gives up swimming during his GCSE because of the races, his degree of emotional energy goes down, and therefore he behaves by giving up. When he does GCSE swimming, he loses his emotional drive, so the course of action is for him to give up. A motivation. John has a full absence of motivation during his GCSE lessons because he has stopped going to the swim because he has stopped attending the swimming lessons. He isn't showing effort and he isn't interested at all. But this is only temporary and it could change if he can get his motivation to go back up if something triggers this, like his mum taking him with his siblings again. Maybe once the GCSEs are finished and he can go back to the pool he used to go to when he did it with his mum and family. Intrinsic motivation. John wants to perform inwardly. He wanted to do it because he loves swimming, not because he wants to win medals and rewards. And he wants to do it because he loves swimming for its own sake, or because he wants to improve at swimming. There are many types of intrinsic rewards that John could get. Personality, the type of climate that is made, fun and just enjoying his swimming, competition or competitiveness, the thrill of a challenge. So for John it could be the thrill of trying to get his 75 metre badge or trying to beat his brother, curiosity or trying to be creative, the action and excitement of the sport. So John could really enjoy being in the pool, like the action of messing around with his brothers, and another intrinsic reward would be for John pushing himself hard in difficult circumstances. So for example, when he was at secondary school with intimidating boys and not very nice pool, he pushed himself even though the circumstances there weren't very good. And he's very proud of achieving the highest level that he can. So by achieving his 25 and 50 metres, he's pushing himself to the limit. Extrinsic motivation. Behaviour happens because of sources or things outside of the performer. John loses motivation because his grades are lower than the other students and he's not as fast as the other students in the swimming races. Sometimes extrinsic motivation can be useful to improve sports performance because it gives people a goal at the end of it, a physical goal. This can be done through either a reward like a trophy or a medal, or reinforcement like a coach giving good feedback to the player. For John, it would be like the swimming awards or his brothers telling him he's doing well. These are tangible, extrinsic rewards like John's 25 metre and 50 metre certificates. Others include trophies, money, badges and certificates, as you can see in the images here. Here's a football player holding a golden boot reward for all his goals, and another football player holding a Player of the Month award for performing really well in that match. But there are some intangible intrinsic rewards like status, praise and competition. So like, for example, here you can see on this slide, so Alex Ferguson giving Ronaldo a talk. He could be praising him, saying what he's done well, and that is a type of extrinsic motivation. However, there are some risks of using extrinsic rewards. The reward might not be valued by the performer, so they might not really care about the medal. It's not that they don't really see it that important. If it's used too much, it might lose its importance. It's hard to judge what age to start using it. Maybe in the early stages, it might not be good for a kid because they'll get addicted to the rewards and may give up if there's no reward. It doesn't increase motivation as an incentive. It's all about getting a reward. You have to choose what it rewards, like whether you're rewarding behaviour, success, improvement, effort, or cooperation. It sometimes could be seen as being manipulative and can reduce intrinsic motivation. Also, if one of the performer fails, like when John fails in his swimming at GCSEs or has low grades, he feels he's not good at swimming and will learn helplessness, and it would be best if you combine this with intrinsic motivation. You can maximize intrinsic motivation by encouraging risk taking. Don't let John compare his swimming grades to the other people in the class. You can value the improvement that John makes by positive reinforcement. Set John a target for like how far he can swim or how quickly he can do it for personal motivation. Reward him for effort and encourage him to be resilient, and give John enough challenge, but don't make it too difficult so he loses motivation. And let John choose the type of sport he wants to do or who he wants to go swimming with. The factors affecting motivation. So for a leader, you need a role model, someone who's very motivating and gets the team going, and an effective climate. The family and peers. So for example, the good thing is that John's parents are very good because they encourage him to do sport and take up swimming, and they take him along to lessons. And there needs to be increased backing in an exercise program. Therefore, there's more confidence and chance of success. This is what Howley and Frank said in 2003. But the bad thing to do with family and peers, sometimes they could be too pressurizing. And for example, a lot of kids' football, you get parents shouting on the sideline at their children, and it causes them to stop playing the sport because they lose motivation. The physical environment, you need good facilities. For example, for John, at the secondary school, there wasn't very good facilities. The pool was freezing and the changing facilities were dirty and crowded with loud, domineering boys. For personality, you need either trait theory, which is innate in your body, so you're born with it, or social learning theory, where you learn from someone you look up to, like the leader, or the interactionist approach, which is a mix of both. Over-motivation. So, another risk is when someone suffers from over-motivation. John could get this because he is always harassing his siblings to teach him to swim well and help him improve. Therefore, he could set too high goals and therefore he could become obsessed at getting better at swimming because he is desperate to do well. You can notice this when someone is training too much and not getting enough rest. They're constantly getting injuries, their performance is declining, they look anxious, guilty or annoyed, easily irritated, and have social withdrawal, so aren't really getting involved in conversations, and they might be too arrogant or confident. Weinberg and Gold in 2015 said it's connected to addiction. They said psychological and physical dependence on exercise where withdrawal symptoms occur 24 to 36 hours after exercise. If John keeps on swimming too much and doesn't rest properly, he could get burnout syndrome. This is prolonged exposure to physical or psychological stress, which leads to emotional exhaustion and having not enough esteem. But what are the rewards? What are some of the tangible rewards? Some of the tangible rewards are trophies, like the Barclays Premier League, as you can see in the bottom right. Money, as you can see in the bottom left. This wouldn't really be relevant to John, but especially lots of footballers get bonuses if they win leagues or if they win important matches. Badges, John has got his 25 metre and his 50 metre swimming badges, and certificates, as you can see in the top right image. However, there's also intangible rewards like status. For example, David Beckham got an OBE for his performance in England football. Praise, so reporters, journalists being very nice about you, or praise for John from his swimming coach or his brothers or his parents. And competition, like Ronaldo and Messi pushing each other to be better and better. Motivational climate. Motivational climate, there are two types. Mastery climate, this is about improving and getting better and enjoying the sport. This is because being successful is when you get better than before or improving. It's about learning properly, like real learning, not just getting grades and showing your learning. It encourages mastery orientation and makes players set them challenging or difficult goals, but that they can get, but they have to work hard towards. And it lets a player or a person monitor themselves and do self-selection. John has a mastery climate when he was doing his swimming lessons and he's with his brothers. But this is because he enjoys it and he just wants to get better at swimming and learn how to swim better rather than getting good grades or rewards. There's also performance climate. This encourages ego orientation and success is judged by coming ahead of others in a race, as you can see by Mo Farah winning a race. And it's all about the outcome. Where did you finish? What time did you get? How fast did you go? How far did you run? Rather than whether you improved. It's all about success and beating other people rather than improving and developing as a performer. John has this in his GCSE PE class because there are lots of races and the people judge themselves, and John judges himself on the grades against the others in the group and how fast he is compared to the others in the group. And John prefers a mastery climate because he struggled with the races and dropped out.